Hi everyone, it's Lillian here from Stamper's Niche. I'm coming to you from Alberta, Canada, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I love to share with you, and I love when you share with me. So that's why we have this great stamping community, and we help each other unlock some paper crafting ideas and techniques and hints and tricks. Tonight or today, whenever you're watching, I have a fun, clean, and easy celebration card to make with you. So let's go down to my desk and see what we're making. All right, here we go, just traveling down. And before we do anything else, I do want to point out that it is coming to the end of April, and May 2nd, so basically the end of April, these two catalogs are no more. We have a wonderful brand new one, and I'm so excited about it, but many items in these two catalogs are disappearing. So be aware of that and take a look at my website and check out the last chance items. There are good sales happening there, and I think you might want to take advantage of them. So just don't miss out. All right, so these catalogs are only good until, well, it says the end of April. Really, it's the very, very beginning of May, but I would act sooner rather than later. And the other thing to remember is that anything that's found in a bundle, so if you buy a bundle, if it's offered as a bundle, you save 10%, but items only stay in a bundle for one catalog. So if there's something in this catalog or this catalog that comes in a bundle and you've got your eye on it, just remember if it does carry forward, or if it's in the next catalog, it won't have that discounted price. So that's another way of saving. So just be aware of that and take care to take note of that. Where is my website? This is my website, and if you click on shop now, you'll see all the little links that take you to last chance items or catalogs, all that kind of thing. So we are going to make a card tonight that was inspired by this card. So I made this card. We're going to tweak it just a little bit, but I absolutely love how this turned out. It just looks so clean and springy, and it's just a great celebration card. So one of the things we are going to be using, so I'm going to share that with you right now, is one of the bundles that's currently available in the mini catalog. So although this stamp set and these dies are going to be in the next annual catalog, they will not be in a bundle. So it's called Dainty Delight. So there are the stamps, which are fabulous, and I love the fonts, and then all of these dies. So those dies might be easier if you look at what I call my Get Acquainted sheet. So some of the dies cut out stamped images, but some of them actually just stand alone and create all kinds of fun things on their own. Today, we are going to use this one right here and this one right here. So we'll put those aside. And the other thing we're going to use is we are going to use the blending brushes. Now, there are two sizes of blending brushes. In the annual catalog, there are I'm just tipped them the wrong way, but that's all right. There are the big ones, and in the mini catalog, the mini ones. And then in the mini catalog as well, there's the storage. And I love my storage. It's a little hard to show on camera, but they just sit on my desk. It's angled so that they just slide right down in there. Both size brushes fit in it. And I'll take one out. So you can see there's a little opening at the bottom that the tip of the brush fits in. And I love mine. So it takes up a little bit of space. So it all depends if it's something that works for you. But I just wanted to share it with you. So where do we find... Let's start with the minis. The mini ones are in the mini catalog, or the small ones, I should say. So the small blending brushes are found on page 67, as is the storage. So let's go to page 67 right here. And there you can see right here that the small blending brushes and the blending brushes storage. So that there is that. And then the larger blending brushes are actually found in the annual catalog, and they are found right here. So if you look at the double page called the Wow Factor, page 129 in this catalog, then the blending brushes are number 7. And if you look down here, you'll see all about it. Now the blending brushes come in packages of 3, so you do get a nice selection. I love both sizes. I'm just beginning to use the small size, and I absolutely love it. So let's get started with our card. We're going to start with a card base that is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So we're going to fold it on that score line. So it's just halfway. It's a half a sheet of cardstock folded in half. So it's half, then half, right? So we've got our card base. Then we're going to put that to the side. And then we're going to bring in, now this is where I've added a little change. So I thought, what if we matted a color in here? And the colors that I've used on these daisies are Daffodil Delight. So we could have put that. Pool Party, or Flirty Flamingo. So you might say, oh, I wish you had chosen a different color. I'm going to choose this because I'm not taping this live and I don't have your input, but you obviously could use any of these. And for those of you who are wondering, these I make myself. They're a 1/4 sheet, so they are 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I just find them great to use for practicing my layering and seeing what happens, what looks good and what doesn't look good, and also showing you. So that being said, I chose the Pool Party, and it is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Now, if you don't like that measurement, if you aren't an 1/8 person, you could make it 4 by 5 1/4, and it would still work perfectly. It's going to be this layer here. So that, I'll put it that way. And then we're bringing some basic white in. That is 3 3/4 by 5. So it is going to layer on top of here with just that tiny, tiny little border. The color is just going to peek through. All right, so we'll put that over here. Then we're going to bring in a piece of Pool Party again, 1 5/8 by 5, so that the width of it is the same as the basic white. So it's 5, but it's 1 5/8. Again, if you don't like the 5/8, make it 1 3/4. Make it a little bit bigger. And then 1 1/2 by 5. Again, the same width. So it's going to, these edges are going to all be even. We're just going to have a spot of color here and here. And then you're going to need some scraps. All right, let's get started here. Let's start with building the basic of the card. So we'll put that there. We're going to start with this. And we're going to run it through the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine using one of the Basics 3D embossing folders. Now these are only found in the online exclusives. They come in a package of 3, and they truly are basics. You've got this little cross hatching kind of thing. You've got, could be flowers, starfish, whatever. It's just a general overall design, and then you've got the polka dots. Now these have been out of stock, but they're coming back in shortly, so just watch the online exclusives for those. We're going to use this one tonight, and we're going to bring in our Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine right here. I'm going to take all of the plates out except for the very bottom one. So we're keeping plate number 1. Everything else is going out. Then we're going to bring in the basics Now, this line here is great for lining up the edge of your cardstock and keeping everything straight. This particular one doesn't matter so much, but some actually do. Then we're going to put the fold in first, right? Like that, so it's down here. Then we're going to bring in plate number 4. It's the one for the 3D. So anytime you have a thick embossing folder, you want plate number 4. And we're just going to run it through and add some texture to that card. I find texture just adds that little bit of interest, and it just seems to add a little bit there. So we will take it apart. And now we've got this, and I actually like either side. So you can decide which side you like to use. And we'll move this out of the way. And we're going to right now just glue this down to here. You can use whatever adhesive you like to use. I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. And if you're watching this before the catalog expires, before May 2nd, May 4th, I'm getting my May dates mixed up. This glue is going up in price significantly. So if that's your glue of choice, stock up now. Now, I happen to have a mat that has grids on it. If you were to ever visit me in my studio here when I am crafting on my own, I always use my grid paper. And the reason why I love grids and grid paper so much is that you can line things up. It helps your eyes go the right direction. Now we're going to bring in our piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. And I want to glue this down here, but I want to stamp first. So I'm just going to rest it there, and I'm going to bring the words from the stamp set that say Celebrate You, and I'm going to bring in some gray granite. It's just a softer than a black, and it's a little bit different than gray itself. It's got a little bit of warmth to it. So we will ink it up. And this is just so that I kind of know where to stamp my words. I could swish it out of the way now that I know, but I know I want to put it down here. And again, the grid paper or the grids help me keep everything lined up. Now, if I had made a mistake, I could always flip it over and stamp again, and nobody would be any the wiser. So that's why I like to stamp first before I glue some of this other stuff down. So now I'm going to fasten this down just like that. Again, using my grids and looking, this one could be a little bit higher. There, that, whoops. So then I gave it a move. Always takes a minute to dry, so there we go. We've got it like that. And I happen to know that I can do the rest once the card's all assembled. So I'm going to flip this over and bring in my dimensionals. And this dimensionals are optional here, but I you know, when in doubt, I like to use dimensionals. And so we'll use the edges here too. There we go. So I've got the 4 corners, and I like to put something in the middle so that it's not saggy. And did you know you can tear your dimensionals just like that? So if you're in a rush, don't want to pick up your scissors, you can tear those edges as well. So let's take the backings off. Whoops! I forgot something, didn't I? Okay, well, we're going to ad-lib a little bit. So I was looking at the sample card, forgetting that I was going to put this layer in. So I had intended to put this, I'm not going to stick it together, this on here and then put it on dimensionals. But now I'm doing I'm putting this layer on dimensionals and I'll glue this layer down. There's always a way of fixing what you had thought you were going to do. And sometimes those mistakes turn out rather well. Sometimes not, but you just never know. There's always a way around. There we go. We've got that. Then we'll bring this in. And this is where maybe it would have been better to have it a little bit bigger border. But we will do it this way. There. Looks pretty good, I think. All right, now all we have to do is make these daisies. And I wanted to show you how I did that. So what I did, there are two ways of doing it. So one way is to bring in, this is where you're going to bring scrap paper in. One way is to cut out your daisies like this, bring in your scrap paper and your blending brush and your ink it up, and then you can blend your daisies like that and just go around and you've got it like that. So that is what I did on this card. And so then I thought, well, I'm going to try something different. So I took this and I'm starting and making the center dark. And you see I forgot to touch the outside first. So I'm making the center dark like that. And I know I want to do 2 daisies. So I'm too excited. I'm pressing too hard. That's all right. We'll just keep adding color till we get what we're happy with. And then I want to do the center too. So I want another patch. This is Flirty Flamingo here. So basically I could have gone all the way around, whatever. But we've got it looking like that. And then I would do the same with Pool Party and Daffodil Delight. And then close it up. So this was Flirty Flamingo. And move this out of the way. We'll bring our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back in. And this time we are using Platform 1, which we basically always use. We're going to include the layer 2. You can tell mine's been well used. And then the 2 clear plates, 2 layer 3s. So we're going to put 1 plate down. Then we're going to put this, and we're going to bring in the dies, which I've buried here. And we're going to use the daisy, and we're going to use this little thing right here. So how I'm doing the daisy is I'm putting the center of the daisy where I've got it the darkest, right there. I'll just put those there. Put another plate on top. Run it through. And I find doing it this way, for me, it's easier, but I wanted to show both ways so that you could get the idea of your choice. So there we go. I'll take that off. Now we've got 1 daisy. I'm just going to poke it out. If I had more room, I could just drop it on my desk and this would likely fall out. But there you can see, and you see it's even got texture in the middle. It's so neat. So we've got that one, and then we've got these cut out. And what are they? They are centers for the flowers. So let's just, I'm going to poke them out on here. There, you can see we've got centers for the half flowers and the whole flowers, the daisies, but we'll concentrate on the whole ones and save the half ones for another time. Now I would like 1 more daisy. So I'm just kind of figuring out where I want the center to be. run it through one more time. Just like that. I love that they put these little holes in so you can just poke out your dies. And you can see here, this is when I was making this, the first one, I did the 3 colors for my centers like that. All right, so now let's bring, actually what we're going to do is bring our silicone mat in and build that daisy. So we've got this and this. Just going to bring this in. I'm going to actually, the one I want on top is going to be this one, I think. I'm just going to very gently curl the petals just a little bit, just very gently. If you press too hard, you're going to get wrinkles and all kinds of things that you don't want. Then I'm going to bring in my glue. Now you could use a glue dot, and again, just a little dab. You don't need a whole lot. Then when I put them together, I'm going to offset them so that I can see the underneath petals as well. Just like that. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. If you like to have a bit more dimension, bring in your Stamp and Pierce mat. Now this is the side I stamp on, so I flip it over, and this is the side you can see that I've make holes with and that kind of thing. So if you put that on here and then bring something that's kind of rounded, you could bring in the end of your bone folder. I often use the rounded end of my Take Your Pick tool, and I put it in the center and I just rub firmly. I don't try to push it all the way through. I just rub firmly and just swirl a little bit, and you see how the petals all lifted like that. So there's another little trick for getting dimension to what your stamped images. So now we have that. So we're going to bring, whoops, wrong card. Bring this one in, and we're going to figure out where I've got the other 2 made just to save a bit of time. And we could go like that, we could angle them, we could do a little grouping, you could do whatever you want. So I'm just going to follow what we already did just because that's easier. But remember, you can take this idea and go whatever direction you want. So I'm figuring out my placement, which looks pretty good. And again, you can use mini glue dots or whatever. I'm just going to use some liquid glue here. Put that one there. This one here. And pool party over here. Now, they look really good that way, but I thought it would be fun to put some centers in. So I'm just going to put a little, woo, that was a little more than I wanted. Let's see if I can get some of that out. There we go. And I'm going to use the putty end of my Take Your Pick tool and bring in, now, I meant to do this before. Here I chose the same colors for the center, but you know, you could mix it up. Should I mix it up? Why not? I'm going to shift all the colors 1 notch. So I'll put this one here. And so, got to remember my system here. The blue's underneath. The blue one on the yellow. And the yellow one on the Flirty Flamingo. So there, we mixed it up that way. Now all we need to do is add our embellishments. And I'm going to use the Iridescent Rhinestone Basic Jewels. I like to keep my embellishments in our clear mount cases, and then I put them on the spine, and I have a shelf where they are, and I can see readily what's what. So let's see. I like to vary my sizes too. This one's pretty big. I'm going to go with this one. And then, so there's a big one, There's a medium-sized one, and there's a baby one. There we go, just like that. Now, we didn't do a whole lot of stamping. You could bring in some stamps from the stamp set and stamp on the inside, or just so happens that I have this extra one that I was showing you. So let's put that here and add just a tiny little bit of adhesive. Sometimes when it's pretty tiny, this is what I do. Here's another little tip. I make a little puddle, I spread it out a bit, and remember the silicone mat, this will just wipe off, and then I just dip the ends in, and then you don't get too much glue on. You can even touch it down and get rid of a little bit of extra. The big key is not to put your hand in it otherwise, or your project. So that's how we're going to decorate the inside. We'll put this here like that, and we can put a center in it, or we can just leave it. Doesn't really matter. So there is the card we made today. Here is the card that I originally made, and I based this card off of. So you can tell me in the comments below, which card do you prefer, with the pool party layers or without the pool party layers? So with or without. And if you're watching on YouTube, I thank you so much, and I ask that you please hit that subscribe button or the thumbs up button, and even share it with a friend if you would like to do that. It really does help me in my business if you do the sharing and all that kind of thing. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this card and that it's given you some ideas. And remember, if there's a bundle in either of the catalogs, you get it sooner rather than later and save 10%. Thanks so much for joining me today, and take care and have fun. Bye-bye.